Alright, what's up guys? I wanted to follow up my recent video on day trading with a separate video for swing traders. I've been trying to get better at posting videos for both type of traders. I've always found that, obviously the risk to reward profile is a lot better on intraday, what I call day trading, but I fully realize that there's a lot of you guys out there that are very interested in swing trading, and potentially even those of you day traders, looking into putting a longer term position on. So I get a bunch of emails, questions, phone calls on swing trading, so I wanted to put together sort of a pretty interesting video that I've been looking at on the Nasdaq futures. All right, so what you see here on the screen is my T-bar weekly chart on the Nasdaq futures. And I want to bring to your attention pivot points. All right, if you're the kind of trader that really insists on trying to call tops and trying to call bottoms, well, there's a group of traders who tried to short the Nasdaq all year, and you can just see it's been on a tear, an absolute tear. And anyone that has tried to short the Nasdaq naked without any stops, you've gotten your head cut off, right? So if you're really interested in trying to call tops and trying to call bottoms, well, check out this little doozy I got for you guys, all right? So on the weekly chart, say that you draw these pivot points just like this, right? So these are all the pivot points just like this. Let's keep drawing them, all right? And say you're connecting the most recent sequence, right? So you connect this one here, which would be anchor 1 and anchor 2, and then you connect this one with this one, right? So there would be another trend line there, and say you connect anchor 1 and anchor 2 one last time over here, right? So these are all the areas where potentially, if you were trying to short the Nasdaq, you really only got short opportunities right in these three areas. So what I thought I would do is duplicate this chart. All right, I'm going to duplicate this weekly chart into more of a daily chart, which looks something like this. Okay, so these three trend lines, trend line number 1, trend line number 2, trend line number 3 from the weekly chart, all right, the really, really long-term chart, I've gone ahead and drawn those same exact trend lines onto the daily chart. So the weekly has been drawn into daily. You get what I'm saying? And check out these interesting, let me just really zoom in and show you guys something interesting here, okay? Whenever the trend line breaks, okay, there's a section there and there's another section there, it gives you kind of an interesting opportunity to go short on the daily, right? So you're basically using the weekly as your longer term time frame, and you're trying to time it on the daily. Do you get what I'm saying? So this particular entry right here, which happened, what is this, January 23rd, I guess, was not bad, right? It ran for a decent winner. Put your stop there. You hopefully got to break even here, and then of course you got stopped right out. But now, for those of you that are still looking for shorts, right, this trend line number 1 didn't work. Market was too strong. The market continued to rally. So now you're on the lookout for trend line number 2, right? And this is right here, okay, where my mouse is here. This is trend line number 2, right? So you could essentially start drawing micro trend lines on the daily chart, right? You could draw, this would have been one there. You'd find something like this here, draw like a micro trend line just like that. And this one, you can see from January 24th through today, it's only been 5 days. I mean, this one was a giant, giant winner on the short side, right? But the last thing I want to show you here, and frankly speaking, the most intriguing section of this entire video, is trend line number 3 from the weekly. Okay, so just to recap, let me erase the micros here. These are the micros. This is trend line number 1 from the weekly. This is trend line number 2 from the weekly. Now check out trend line number 3 from the weekly. Can you see how we broke that trend line right over here? Right? So just simply going on historical data, right? The last 2 times that it broke the trend line, which is right here and right here, where these arrows are, you saw much, much lower prices, right? So this is something I'm going to be watching very, very closely. Of course, you know, like the long-term play here would be, we'd be looking for the Nasdaq to really sell off pretty hard to like the 8,700 level, maybe even lower than that. But this is on the weekly, right? So you have to be prepared to hold this trade for a substantial amount of time. And, you know, all I wanted to bring to your attention is, you know, here is what appears to be somewhat of a low risk entry, right? We're waiting for a pivot point to form here. So ideally, here's the micro trend line right there. So it's broken the trend line on the weekly, and now we want it to again break the trend line daily to the downside. And let's be honest, right? Everything that's going on in the news right now, it feels like it sure as heck might actually sell off, right? So anyway, guys, this is just some food for thought. I wanted to put this together for you swing traders out there, and I hope you find this somewhat entertaining and very informative. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. See ya.